Welcome to the Community Church of Chapel Hill, Unitarian Universalist. My name is Linda Thompson. I'm a member of the Worship Associates Ministry here at the church. Whoever you are, whomever you love, however you arrived at this beloved place, you are welcome here. I especially want to welcome any visitors or newcomers to our church and call attention to the special note on the back of the order of service. Welcome guests and newcomers. And we are pleased to welcome those of you who are joining us online this morning. Our minister is the Reverend Tom Belote. Today, the Community Church Choir and Guest Chamber Orchestra, some of them are guests, some of our members, will present Haydn's Music for Anxious Times. Here are a few things to keep in mind. We are masking inside on Sunday mornings. After the service, we invite you to gather in two different areas. The courtyard, right out here, is a mask optional space for fellowship where coffee and tea are available. The area behind the Jones Building is a space where masking is mandatory. Since we're having two services this morning, there will be no online small group social today, but that will return next week at its usual time. Finally, if you've not done so already, would you please silence any cell phones so we can have a worshipful experience. Our call to worship this morning is in your gray hymnal, number 441. I'll read the regular print if you would join me on the italicized portion. To worship. This is written by Jacob Trapp. To worship is to stand in awe under a heaven of stars, before a flower, a leaf in sunlight, or a grain of sand. To worship is to be silent, receptive, before a tree astir with the wind, or the passing shadow of a cloud. To worship is to work with dedication and with skill. It is to pause from work and listen to a strain of music. To worship is to sing with the singing beauty of the earth. It is to listen through a storm to the still small voice within. Worship is a loneliness seeking communion. It is a thirsty land crying out for rain. Worship is kindred fire within our hearts. It moves through deeds of kindness and through acts of love. Worship is the mystery within us, reaching out to the mystery beyond. It is an inarticulate silence, learning to speak. It is the window of the moment, open to the sky of the eternal. Now Carol Parker will read some chalice lighting words.
The Chalice Lighting for Music Sunday by Martine Singer. The chalice is the container, the space where the musicians and the listeners gather. The oil is the fuel, the hours of practice, and the life experiences of everyone in the room. The wick is the instruments and vocal cords through which the music will flow. And the flame is the music which is created as if by magic. When the instruments are lifted, the breath is inhaled, and the downbeat is nodded. May this flame ignite the music within us all.
Thank you, Carol. While the choir is coming down, While the choir is coming down, I wanted to say a little bit about this Mass. First of all, you'll notice in the order of service, there's an insert in the middle that has all the information about the soloist, the names of the orchestra members and the choir members that you can refer to, and also has translations of the words to the Mass. You may wonder why UU Church is doing a Catholic Mass, singing words like, in English, "We believe in one Lord Jesus Christ, who was crucified, died, and was buried, and rose on the third day." Well, I'll tell you. First of all, our fifth principle states that we draw from Jewish and Christian teachings which call on us to respond to God's love by loving our neighbors as ourselves. Also, because it's music, whatever the inspiration, is inspiring, spiritual, heartfelt, and profound. And there is a universality to these settings that transcend ideology or creed. At the time of the writing of this Mass, Haydn was in a state of anxiety and has many parallels to our own time. The Napoleonic Wars were raging, and at his doorstep in Austria, he had a supply chain problem, causing his patron to fire his woodwind and his brass players. So he was stuck with just a violinist, and he had to recruit a couple local trumpet players. And he was kind of in a quarantine, having been confined to his room for exhaustion after writing his oratorio, The Creation. And you'll notice that in the music, there's a constant battle between foreboding, like in that first piece, and triumph, between resignation and persistence. Even the final Dona Nobis, which means give us peace, which is usually done as a serene setting, in this is done, has a demanding quality and a defiant spirit. Finally, I chose this piece at the beginning of the year, frankly, because I like the title, Mass in the Time of Anxiety, and because we're living in anxious times, and little did I know how anxious they would become, like in these last few weeks. We had one of our members, a soloist, who had a bicycle accident and isn't able to be with us today. We had a couple of us had COVID scares this week, and we've thankfully tested negative. I had another singer actually couldn't be with us today because she woke up today with a sore throat. So there's been all sorts of anxious times that are appropriate because that's what we're doing. And of course, another person, our usual Kitty Stahlberg, who usually plays viola, couldn't be with us because she's seeing Paul McCartney in Winston-Salem. She's a giant Beatles fan. So Kitty gets a pass. So anyway, we're going to start the Mass, but please join us as we worship and share this great gift of timeless music with you.
This Share the Plate today is for Interfaith Council for Social Services. In 1963, a group of 7 local women united their volunteer efforts to address inequities in Chapel Hill and Carrboro. Our church was a founding member of Interfaith Council for Social Services, which after almost 6 decades continues its journey toward economic justice. IFC provides many critical services: emergency financial assistance, food and hygiene items at the community market, hot meals daily at the community kitchen, and advocacy. But the main focus of today's appeal is IFC's role in addressing homelessness. I'm sharing the following information on behalf of Rick Szymanski, who can't be here today, but is our congregation's liaison to IFC. Homelessness has many causes. As you might expect, a homeless person's first priority is finding a safe place to sleep: a car, a tent, or an abandoned cabin in the woods. The first priority of staff is helping the homeless person find safe shelter and then permanent housing as soon as possible. What you might not know is that dental problems are often their worst issues. Homeless people have to deal with painful teeth due to poor diet and lack of hygiene products and care. Here in Orange County, the Orange County Partnership to End Homelessness, formed in 2008, is a coalition of service providers, local governments, and community members working together to provide many services with the goal of ending homelessness in our county. I learned that they operate a housing hotline and have a team to deal with street outreach and harm reduction, and another to help folks locate shelter or stabilize a current housing situation. So the Interfaith Council has provided an essential role in this partnership. It's the only organization that offers shelter for people experiencing homelessness: the Community House for Men and Home Start for women and families. These 2 organizations provide 30,000 nights of shelter per year. IFC not only provides assistance to residents finding housing, but it helps them obtain dental and health care and other needed community resources. So as you've seen, IFC provides a leadership role in assisting people experiencing homelessness. Your generosity today in helping to fund all of IFC's efforts will be greatly appreciated. Please make your check out to the Community Church of Chapel Hill and put STPIFC in the memo line, or you may donate online. Any amount is welcome. And if you're interested in joining other church members to volunteer, I put a few IFC newsletters on the table in the Commons, and you can find more information there. Thank you.
Each week, we hold in our service a time for sharing the joys and the sorrows that we bring with us into this church community. As you can see, that the front of the sanctuary looks a little different. And so as we do joys and sorrows today, if you'd like to share one, we're going to have people kind of both enter and exit from this side. This is a time where if you've come with either a personal joy or a personal sorrow, you're invited to come forward, say your name, and briefly, in a sentence no more than 2, say your joy in your sorrow or your sorrow. I will place the stones for you in the bowl because we're a little tight up here. I'm going to place the first, and then we will open the floor. And the first one is both a joy and a sorrow from Bill Rote and Mary Beth Powell. Their joy, which is shared by many of us, by all of us as a church community, is that Sarah Gush Tolfrey will be ordained this afternoon by this congregation at 4 o'clock. Sarah is a long friend of both Bill and Mary Beth, as well as all of us. Bill and Mary Beth's sorrow is that they are quarantining due to COVID and won't be able to be here in person, but will be watching online. Are there any other joys and sorrows this morning?
Hi, I'm Sarah Clark Farnell. So a lot of you know that I'm completing my Master's of Divinity through Chicago Theological Seminary, and the last piece of my degree is to do a chaplaincy internship, basically, and I have found one for this next academic year, so I'm very, very excited about that.
Hi, I'm John Listina.
And I am Jenny Deloach.
And we got married here last Sunday afternoon at 1 p.m. out at Memorial Rock. We've known each other. She likes to tell everybody she's known me since I was 19 in 1973. So it was 49 years this month, and we were thinking about waiting to the 50th, then we thought, oh, what the heck, let's just go ahead and do it. So we were going to announce it last week during Joys and Concerns, but there was none. So anyhow, thank you.
Congratulations, John and Jenny, and I place one final stone for all those joys and sorrows which we hold in our hearts, which were not spoken.
Freely have we received of gifts that minister to our needs of body and spirit. Gladly we bring to our church and its wide concerns a portion of this bounty. Please note that you can go to our website to donate online. At the top of the page, click under More at the right for donation link. We will now receive the morning offering for the Interfaith Council.
little prayer. Let ruin end here. Let him find honey where there was once a slaughter. Let him enter the lion's cage and find a field of lilacs. Let this be the healing. And if not, let it be.
Won't you please join with me in saying the words by which we extinguish the chalice? We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. As we close, I would invite you to rise in body or in spirit. And before we sing Shalom, why don't we extend our gratitude to Glenn and to the choir and to the soloists and to this wonderful orchestra. I invite you to either join hands with the person beside you, or if you're not the hand-holding type, I invite you to cross your hands over your heart as we join together as our closing song and sing Shalom.